Y'all, I have 19 books to talk about. Grab some tea, buckle in. It's going to be a video. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Read with Melanin. And it is one of my favorite videos to do. It is books that I'm interested in reading that are being released next month that I think you might be interested in as well. As usual, let's do the disclaimers. No, these are not all of the books that are coming out in the month of March. No, these are not all of the books that I'm interested in coming out in the month of March. No, I'm not going to read all these books when they come out in the month of March. No, I don't actually buy books all the time. I'm actually on a hiatus from buying books still. Even though I'm allowed to buy books, I have to be very specific because as I'm cleaning off my bookshelves, I'm trying not to fill them up automatically. So you got to earn a spot on my bookshelf nowadays. But I have 19 books. So there will be timestamps down below for each book. But please watch all the way through because I work hard on this video, y'all. Now, I'm not going to hold y'all. This book originally grabbed my attention because of the cover, but it is The Library of Morlin by Kaylin Josephson. This one comes out on March 3rd. It is the first book in the Age of Beast series. So it says, former con artist Kassira expected to spend her life as a soldier and miserably working off her prison sentence by hunting down magical creatures for the fantastical kingdom of Kalthos. But when the Kalish ambassador arrives with a non-negotiable assignment, Kassira finds herself swept into one of the biggest cons of her life, infiltrating the Library of Morlin. As the heart of all magic and the protector of magical creatures throughout the Six Kingdoms, the library is historically politically neutral. Kassira is meant to pose as the new assistant to spy for the ambassador and destabilize the library from the inside, clearing the way to dethrone its librarian. But when she arrives, Kassira learns that the library is not all she was told it would be. Neither is the prickly, handsome librarian, Alistair, whose own monstrous secrets are about to catch up with him. Sweep into this enchanting world. Obviously, there's going to be some romance, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of an episode of something that it reminds me of. It's like an episode of Tangled where they deal with like the apprentice of the tower, and the tower holds all these like death-defying secrets. I don't know. That's what it made me think of, so that's why it's on the list. This book also comes out on March 3rd, and it is River of Bones and Other Stories by Rebecca Roanhorse. I don't think I've ever told y'all this, but I love Rebecca Roanhorse. She gives goods. So it says, a stunning collection of award-winning fantasy and science fiction short stories from the bestseller of the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, including a new novella set in the world of the Trail of Lightning. Rebecca Roanhorse's first publication, Welcome to Your Authentic Indian Experience, was awarded both the Nebula and Hugo Award for Best Short Story on its strength. And on its strength, Rebecca was awarded the Astounding Award for Best New Writer. Although Roanhorse began to publish novels including Trail of Lightning and Black Sun, she has continued writing piercing stories that examine the American experience through marginalized perspectives. River and Bones returns to the Six World series with the novella, this time from Kai's perspective, as he and Maggie travel back to where he grew up to save his ex from the people who almost beat him to death, his ex's family. I'm intrigued. I heard this was coming out. I was like, it's Rebecca Roanhorse, so I'm obviously going to read it, but y'all got to hear about it too, because it sounds good. This one also comes out on March 3rd, and it's Green and Deadly Things by Jen Leons. And it says it's a page-turning standalone, because I know some of y'all just prefer the standalones. So a page-turning standalone fantasy of necromancy and magical mayhem. Centuries ago, necromancy almost destroyed the world. That's how history remembers it. History remembers it wrong. Methalic has trained all his life to join the sacred order of the Adalic Knights, charged with defending their world from the forces of necromancy. Only vestiges that cursed magic remain. Nothing like the fabled days of the Grim Lords, the undead wizards who once nearly destroyed the world. But when an even stranger kind of monster begins to wake, the knights quickly prove powerless to them. Whole forests are coming alive and devouring anyone so foolish as to trespass, as if the land itself had turned upon humanity. It's a good thing, then, that the Grim Lords were never truly destroyed. Honestly, again, I don't think I've ever told y'all, like, we're some of us are new. Some of us, we've only been friends for a couple of months. Necromancy is one of my favorite, like, weird, like, magics. It's usually so convoluted that I'm always intrigued how an author is going to write the necromancy. So that's why I picked this one. So if you like necromancy, Shout it out. We love it. I saw the cover of this one and I'm like, is it a horror one? I'm not sure. But She Drinks the Light by Yasmin Ngoe releases on March 3rd as well. This one says, for fans of Sinners and the Immortal Dark, that's probably where you lost me because I'm not that big of a fan of Immortal Dark. I know. Don't worry. I will be coming out with the fantasy video about the books that you might like that I DNF'd. It is coming. Don't worry. It says, a teen girl must uncover her family's deadly secrets in order to save her best friend and her island in this heart-pounding YA debut. Ade has spent her whole life on the Golden Isle, a private island off the coast of South Carolina that has been in her family for centuries. Island residents don't really fraternize with mainlanders, and for good reason. Golden Isle was founded on the kinfolk, descendants including Ade and her Nana Alma, the island matriarch of enslaved Black people. But the Isle and the kinfolk have secrets that must be protected from the outside world. Secrets of spirituality, mythology that are deeply rooted in their West African culture, belief, and traditions. The kin are bound to protect the Golden Isle, and in turn, it protects them. When Ade's best friend Naraya goes missing and one of the kin turns up drained of blood, Ade's way of life is threatened. It looks like the work of the Adesi, West African supernatural beings that drink human blood in order to survive, also known as vampires. Listen, I have been on the hunt for a vampire book that I like. I can't think of, like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a vampire book that I like, and I'm hoping, even though that this was YA, because I know that I don't read as much YA as I used to. I guess turns out I'm an adult, I guess. But I hope that this one works. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. This book also comes out on March 3rd. It's a lot of books coming out on March 3rd that I'm interested in. And this one is Lady Tremaine by Rachel Houcher. So this one is a breathtaking reimagining of Cinderella as told through the eyes of its iconic evil stepmother, revealing a propulsive love story about the lengths a mother will go for her children. We already know the story of Lady Tremaine, and unfortunately for me, Cinderella is one of my favorite ones that gets retold often. And I was like, I don't know, are you gonna try to make me like Lady Tremaine? Because you can't convince me that there's nothing a mother will do for her children and then like turning her stepdaughter into a slave. I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a try. When my library gets this book, I will definitely be checking it out. This book comes out on March 10th, and it is Entwined by H.M. Long. It is the first book in the Entwined duology. So it says 3 sisters join the hunt for a stolen magical artifact in the start of this Gilded Age fantasy duology. Ottilie Rushforth hides from the mighty Sorcerers Guild as secretary to a has-been detective. She is entwined. Threads of magic run beneath her skin, and the guild would trap her in service. But Ottilie has a plan to escape the guild forever with her estranged fiancé. The enigmatic, I can never say that word, poet, soldier, and smuggler Louis Illing. All she must do is track down a mysterious artifact, claim the bounty, and leave the city forever. But Ottilie's sisters, Pretoria, a quick-witted sorceress and thief, recently emerged from exile, and Madge, a guild mage to the core, appear to have made equally unwelcome offers. A new life at the cost of everything she has ever wanted, or prestige and safety in a gilded cage. With her life on the line, Ottilie must track down the artifact in a city torn apart by prejudice and violence. I'm interested. Honestly, the sister thing where like one sister's in the guild and one sister's not, but clearly the sister that's not as powerful, is giving me Owl House vibes. And I think that's probably why it ended up on my list. This next one is Magic and Mischief at the Wayside Hotel by Elizabeth Everett. This one comes out on the 10th of March. So this one says, when a magical hotel appears smack dab in the middle of the most unmagical of worlds, the last thing the residents expect is to fall in love. Manager of the No. 5 Wayside Inn and world traveler hub, Pax Norman, has been one of the easiest jobs in all of the known universes, unless you count the occasional plumbing disaster. When No. 5 Wayside gets stranded on a non-magical world, even Pax's trusty Wayside handbook can't help him. How is he going to reboot the hotel and keep it on its magical journey? Josie Lachusia is a single mom experiencing debt, having parenting doubts, and tipping dangerously toward depression when an ad pops up on her phone that an apartment is available in a building she's never seen. Pax needs a new guest to restart his hotel, and Josie needs a nudge to restart her life. In a building occupied by fairies, gargoyles, and a gnome with a bad attitude, two souls from very different places come together to create a home like no other. The story sounds cute. That's it. That's the plot. This next mystery also comes out on March 10th, and it is Spellbound by Murder, a Mystic Hollow bookshop mystery. This is number 1 in the series. So it says Gilmore Girls meets Charmed in the spellbinding cozy mystery featuring a magical bookshop run by 3 generations of women. When her grandmother suffers a nasty fall and asks for help managing the family books business, coffee-addicted single mother Veronica Blackthorne moves her 16-year-old rom-com obsessed daughter to Mystic Hollow, Connecticut. Veronica is ecstatic to return to New England, but when she arrives, she quickly finds out that Mystic Hollow Books, her grandmother's pride and joy, needs more than a little TLC. Hoping to save the bookstore from a big box rival, Veronica enlists her sometimes mentor, sometimes crush, Adam Whitford, a controversial and popular author, as the keynote speaker to kick off a literary festival that will hopefully bring in a new wave of customers. And I think this is another mystery. I've been in a mystery mood lately, y'all, so I do apologize for that. I know y'all came here for fantasy, but I read everything, and I read where my mood leads me. This next one is The Pie and Mash Detective Agency by J.D. Brinkworth. This one also comes out on March 10th, and it says, who is Nellie Thorne and why does she keep disappearing? Jane Pye and Simon Mash are on the case in this cozy crime mystery novel. Dev Hopper arrives home from work to find his girlfriend, Nellie Thorne, has vanished, but she's not the first Nellie Thorne to disappear. In fact, she's the 5th in 50 years. Join Jane Pye and Simon, a millennial couple who signed up for a private detective night class on a whim. When they're assigned Dev's case for their coursework, they quickly realize they've bitten off more than they can chew. Armed with just 6 weeks of notes, matching trench coats, and a lot of enthusiasm, they set out to solve a case that has baffled Kent's police for decades. Again, I'm in a mystery mood, and these are sounding really cute. This one comes out on March 17th, and it is The Prodigal Tiger by Samantha Chung. It says an action-packed YA contemporary fantasy debut that brings vibrant Malaysian folklore to life. For 5 years, Caroline Shua has lived in exile from her home and family in Malaysia at a magical academy in New York City, far enough away that she can't hurt the people she loves. That is, until she is abruptly summoned home in an emergency. Her beloved older brother, Aaron, who is next in line to become the protector of the island, has vanished. And now, back in Penang, she can't help but notice that things don't feel the same as they once did, and it's unclear if she's changed or the island. Despite her family's desire to keep her close and the council's explicit instructions to stay out of trouble, stubborn, self-sufficient Caroline is hell-bent on saving her brother with or without anyone's help. But when it turns out that Aaron has been kidnapped by vengeful ghosts and a centuries-old grudge, even Caroline must admit she's in over her head and will need the help of the friends she had abandoned, including her first love, JJ. I'm interested again. It's just, I don't know. It's giving. Anytime it's a situation where like my sibling is missing, I'm all over it. I love those books. I love the sibling bond, and I love like when the siblings, like, I love them, they get on my nerves, but I gotta save them. That's my kind of sibling love. This one is called Underwater by Tara Manon, and this one comes out March 17th. It says, an intense atmospheric novel about the devastating power of friendship, set against the backdrop of 2 cataclysmic events. After Marissa loses her mother at 5, the most intimate relationship of her life begins. Her marine biologist father, determined to channel his grief into completing his wife's research, whisks her across the globe to Thailand. There she meets Ariel, and a fairy tale friendship takes hold. During the week, the girls live at a resort owned by Ariel's parents. On the weekends, they join the tight-knit community of researchers on a nearby island. Together, the girls discover the fragile wonders of its reefs, forests, and beaches. Together, they learn to dive into the deep, holding their breath for minutes at a time as they effortlessly synchronize as the manta rays they come to know by name. Together, they learn to swim their way out of danger, but then comes a wave Ariel can't outpace, leaving Marissa gutted with loss. So check the trigger warnings, I think, for this book, definitely. But I think it's going to be a really good read. I'm not going to hold y'all. The cover is what grabbed me to this one. And it is The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. This one comes out on the 17th of March. And it says, Shogun meets Game of Thrones in this blockbuster epic fantasy event of the year. A.S. Tamaki weaves a powerful tale of ambition, vengeance, and sacrifice in this masterful fantasy retelling of an ancient samurai saga, packed with memorable characters, stunning world building, and epic adventure. Sin Hoshiakari is an exiled prince of a clan that lost everything in his father's failed rebellion. Deprived of his birthright, Sin is determined to restore his family's lands and honor at any cost. Rui is a peasant girl who saved Sin's life on the night of his family were put to the sword, but now she is adrift and unsure of her place in the world, not knowing that the gods themselves have plans for her. As civil war throws the empire into chaos and demons seek vengeance to the living, Sin and Ryu must fight for both their clan and their shared future, but vengeance demands a bloody price. The cover caught me. The cover of this one is so pretty, I almost thought it was AI, and it is The Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. This is the Kindness of Academy #1, and this one comes out on March 24th. This one says, the survivor of a brutal academy must exhume her own past in the first book of the new series from the international best-selling of the Library trilogy and the Broken Empire series. Set a thief to catch a thief. Set a monster to punish a monster. The Academy of Kindness exists to create agents of retribution, cast in the image of the Furies, known as the Kindly Ones, against whom even the gods hesitate to stand. Each year, 100 girls are sold to the Academy. 10 years later, 3 will emerge. The Academy's halls run with blood. The few that survive its decade-long nightmare have been forged in the sands of the Wound Garden. They have learned ancient secrets amid the necrotic fumes of the Bone Garden. They leave its gates as avatars of vengeance, bound to uphold the oldest of laws. Only the most desperate would sell their child to the kindnesses. But Rue, she sold herself. And now, a long and bloody lifetime later, just as she's discovered peace, war has been brought to an old woman's doorstep. That was a mistake. Like I said, the cover eats. You know I always got to give a recommendation for the littles, and it's The Queen's Granddaughter by Diane Zalier. And this comes out on the 24th of March. So it says, embark on a sweeping journey of self-discovery in this adventurous middle-grade novel perfect for fans of Karen Cushman and Gary Paulsen. 12-year-old Blanca of Castile is the granddaughter of the Queen Eleanor of Entwined, once the wife of both the King of France and the King of England. When Eleanor comes to visit Blanca at Castile to select the girl who will marry the Prince of France, all expect her to pick Blanca's older sister, but to everyone's surprise, it's Blanca she chooses to be the princess. Blanca, along with her best friend Suna, must set out over the Pyrenees Mountains for France, but the journey there is not easy. The group, which includes knights in attendance and the Queen Eleanor herself, is trapped by a late-season blizzard. As this nears France, they are kidnapped by one of Eleanor's renegade vassals. I think it's cute. I don't know. I've never read a book by Diane, so we'll see how it stands out. But it's a middle grade suggestion, and I always try to make sure to include at least one little suggestion. Well, one middle grade suggestion for the littles. Yeah. This next book is called The Bridge Back to You by Rhys M. Nielsen. This one comes out on the 31st of March, and it says, exes discover that they've both inherited the restaurant that Cecilia's Place. Words. I'm sorry, y'all. It says, it's where she learned how to be a great chef. It's also where she first fell in love. But at 19, Olivia has a wanderlust she couldn't deny. And Carmelo, whose mother owned the restaurant, couldn't leave Cecilia's Place behind any more than he could force Olivia to stay. Now, 10 years later, Olivia is a successful personal chef. Her job allows her to travel the world, and she has never stayed in the same place for too long. When Carmelo learns that his mother left shares of her beloved restaurant to both him and Olivia, he plans to buy her portion of the shares back quickly and painlessly. That is until Olivia shows up at the restaurant ready to help run it. Obviously, this is going to be like a second chance romance type thing. I know there's probably grief because they did mention that it's in the will, so do check trigger warnings before you check this book out. This is the first book in a series, and is This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Ilona Andrews, and this is supposed to come out on the 31st of March. It says, a page-turning, unforgettable fantasy set in a city peopled with ruffian spies, malcontents, and murderers. Experience out-of-this-world adventure and dangerous politics as Maggie tries to survive waking up in her favorite fictional world. A heart-pounding epic. When Maggie wakes up cold, filthy, and naked in a gutter, it doesn't take her long to recognize Caer Torin. It's a city she knows intimately from the pages of a famously unfinished dark fantasy series, one she's been obsessively reading and rereading while waiting years for the final novel. Her only tools for navigating this gritty world of rival warlords, magic, and mayhem? Her encyclopedic knowledge of the plot, the settings, and the character ambitions and fates. While she was quickly discovered she cannot be killed, though many will try, the same cannot be said for the living, breathable character she comes to love. See, this kind of gives me like, I would totally watch this as an anime, so I want to see if I have that same kind of feeling in a book, but I've watched plenty of animes with reincarnations and things like that, so this is right up my alley, but I don't recall I've ever read a book like this, so I think that's very interesting. This is another one where I saw the cover and then I was like, oh, what is this? It's The Geomagician by Jennifer Mandula. So it says, when a Victorian fossil hunter discovers a baby pterodactyl, she vows to protect him. Oh, I remember this book because I put it on the list because of the pterodactyl. Okay. When a Victorian fossil hunter discovers a baby pterodactyl, she vows to protect him with the help of a fellow scholar, her former fiance, in this enchanting and transporting historical fantasy. I love historical fantasies. I've quickly realized, thanks to Nicole Glover, that is a genre that I freaking love. So yeah, baby pterodactyl fantasy. It don't take much sometimes. This next book is by Sarah Beth Dirts, and it is The Faraway Inn. This one comes out on March 31st. And it says, after a devastating heartbreak, a teen girl decides to spend her summer helping her eccentric great aunt manage her quaint Vermont inn. But this fixer-upper is hiding a magical secret. In this cozy and irresistible new fantasy, 16-year-old Kalisa is desperate for a change of scenery after her lying ex ruins her perfect Brooklyn summer. When her parents suggest that she head to rural Vermont to help her great aunt run her cozy bed and breakfast for a few months, she jumps at the chance. But when Kalisa arrives at the B&B, she's shocked to find a rundown inn with only a handful of guests. And to make matters worse, upon meeting with her great aunt, it quickly becomes clear that Kalisa was not invited. Auntie Z is determined to keep anyone from messing with her beloved inn, even if it's clear she needs the help. To earn her keep, Kalisa sets to work fixing up the inn, enlisting extra help from the groundskeeper's handsome son. I like it. I think it's going to be cute. Okay. That was a lot of video. That was a lot of books. If you made it this far in the video, please leave a book emoji. I'm trying to get to 6,000 subscribers, y'all, so help a girl out. Would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Let me know which books you're interested in that are coming out in the month of March. If you have a book debuting in the month of March, check the pinned comment so you can leave it under the pinned comment. Would definitely appreciate that. I'm going to get some water because I've been talking for like 30 minutes. So I hope that you guys have some books that are going to make you smile. Logging out of the Nexus until next time, nerds. Bye.